Hi guys, I'm Lucy Sheridan, the comparison coach, but also I'm Lucy Sheridan and I am an emotional hoarder. Yes, it's true. This video is going to be hopefully giving you some really practical advice, but also hopefully a ton of empathy as well. Because if you've got some stuff in your life that you need to clear out, let go of and make space for, I really, really feel you on this. Like I said, I would describe myself as an emotional hoarder, and the life coach in me is saying, be careful, don't use that language. Everything you say is an affirmation, but I've got the evidence to show I'm an emotional hoarder, so I'm not going to run from the label. I very recently, after weeks, months, dare I say years, no, months of putting a clear out off in my diary, I very recently actually kind of really committed to it, then committed to the clear out. I've been resisting it for ages because I was feeling so emotional about having to let go of mementos, trinkets and nostalgia because again, hello, I'm an emotional hoarder. So I have in the past and continue to, I'll be working on that probably till they put me in the ground, but I have in the past attached a lot of meaning and really put my identity into stuff, which can be a really dangerous game to play if you're going to have a happy life. But as I said, I very recently decided I was going to have this clear out, and actually what I'm delighted to say is it wasn't half as painful and emotional as I thought it was going to be, and it also didn't take as long as I thought it was going to be. I thought I'd be kind of doing it for 3 days and I'd be like crying on the edge of my bed like several times during that day, and it just wasn't that case. So I want to share with you my advice for how to really achieve a good clear out if you're an emotional hoarder, based on my experience of actually being really, really manageable in the end. So the first thing I did when I knew that I wanted to make space is I committed to making the space. And that is, I knew that a weekend was coming up free and I deliberately blocked it out in my diary. So it actually said like no appointments, don't plan any dinners or anything, because I knew I was going to do the clear out. So rather than look in anticipation, fearing that date in my diary, I immediately started sending love, thanks and forgiveness to my stuff. And I'm talking stuff like my college bus pass when I was 18 years old, notes I used to pass to my 14-year-old friends because we didn't have mobile phones then, by the way, right through to exam certificates, pay slips from my first jobs. I used to work in TK Maxx when I was 18, like sorting the shoes out and stuff like that, and I had accumulated all this stuff from moments in time. So I had a lot to go through, and I've been carrying these around all as I've moved through my life, and I'm in my early mid-30s now. Well, mid-30s. Anyway, so that's what I ended up doing. I kind of, from the time I decided that it was on that Saturday that I was going to complete the clear out or get at least 80% of it done, I started sending love, thanks and forgiveness to the stuff and to the people in time. So I'd even kind of send out love and forgiveness to my ex-boyfriend that treated me like shit. I'd send out love and forgiveness to, friends that maybe I felt had wronged me in the past. I'd send only love to kind of people that have died and that I had these mementos from their lives and the times we shared together. I really started processing and really getting the movement going on my emotions and getting really positive and, really getting on top of those well in advance, so that when I did go to open that cupboard door and see those old shoe boxes and old kind of like, other boxes and, holding devices I'd have, I didn't feel like, oh my God, here they are. It just felt like, okay, let's do this. So that was absolutely key. The other thing that I did when it came to making this manageable is that when I was, for example, in the boxes themselves, I was looking at photo albums or, ticket stubs from gigs I've been to, when I could feel the difficult and challenging emotions rise. No, I didn't say negative. Difficult, challenging emotions rise, like grief, like sadness, like heartbreak. Rather than, sit and dwell on the edge of my bed looking at the stuff and thinking back at a time, I just was really kind to myself and actually would say to myself, you're all right, keep going. And I was able to kind of keep putting the bits in that recycling pile and just clear away the energy and put them in those black bags, and then have another pile of things I wanted to clear out and get rid of that I was going to burn. And I'll come to that in a minute. The next key phase and the approach that I kept through the whole thing was don't dwell on this stuff. In that, there's this great book, which you might have even heard of, and I've kind of listened to the audiobook, and I think it's called The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, I think is the right title, but it's by an amazing lady called Marie Kondo, and her approach to making space in the world has absolutely revolutionised people's relationships with their stuff, and I'm so in praise of that. However, having come across the book and got an idea of the preface, the premise of it, I knew that for me, sitting on the end of my bed, contemplating whether I loved to flip-flop or not, was not going to work. I needed to be ruthless about this. And although it's a horrible expression, cut off the leg to save the body. So my advice to you is don't hang around. When you do have these piles in there, don't necessarily be like, do I love this? How much do I love this? In what way do I love this? Which is kind of where I heard my friends started getting really, like giving their anecdotes to me, how they started getting really undone there and got really into the drudge of the clear out. Don't hang around. Be swift. Be ruthless. And at the same time, know that if healing needs to happen, if there's going to be tears, let them happen when you've put the bin bags away. Don't sit there on the end of your bed or on your knees at your cupboard like I could have done and cry your eyes out, because that's ultimately not going to help you. What I'm not saying is skip and avoid those emotions. I'm just saying when you're in the clear out itself, give yourself the space to get to them later. That really, really helped me out, because otherwise I would have got through like one envelope, let alone the boxes and boxes that I'd accumulated. The final thing I'd love to share with you is around when it comes to what you have left, looking at those piles. I'm sure there'll be, for example, clothes that you can clean and then give to a charity shop, and someone else will enjoy them and they'll get this whole other second life. Of course, you'll have your recycling from papers and such like that, which will go to the normal recycling place. But then there might be a third pile, which I certainly had, which was things to burn. Now, I know that sounds a little bit witchy, but you should probably be expecting that from me by now. But things that I needed to see just burn and to be destroyed in front of me, so that I could pay tribute to the part they played, even if it was taking a lot of space and energy, but to pay tribute to what they stood for me, but ultimately see that destroyed and still know that there is significance in my heart and my head, and I don't need that ticket stub or that old Valentine's card to go back to that feeling, go back to that memory. That's all within me right here, and that's really important to me. I even went so far as to buy a fire pit for this. I went on a website called Not on the High Street and got one from an independent retailer for like £40 or something, so it doesn't have to be some sort of big like multi-thousand-pound garden ornament, far from it, and that's not going to be for everyone. And if you do want to take that step forward and have that ritual of ending and beginning, as I did for myself, then please do it safely, but know that you can't get it wrong. Even seeing those things go up in flames, knowing with reverence that you are paying tribute to the past but not living there, is incredibly, incredibly powerful. You might be thinking like, whoa, this is pretty deep for someone just putting things in the bin. Like, yeah, okay, I hear you. I'd probably take the mickey out of me too. But let me just give you a bit of context about why I wanted to go so far as to actually like do a whole video on this. It's because the stuff that we have in our home and around us represents how much space we have for ourselves. So for example, you could live in a mansion and still feel like you had no space. You could live in a studio flat and feel like you had a real abundance of space and flow. I knew that in my home, I was holding on to things that were stopping the things I want to call into my life from coming into my life. For example, how can I ask for more love from my husband and ask to give more love to my husband when I still have freaking love letters from ex-boyfriends when I was 18 years old and through my 20s sitting in my wardrobe about 2 meters away from the bed? It makes no sense, which is why I was so ruthless about really paying attention to this, not sending mixed signals to my life, not sending mixed signals to the universe, what I've been asking for. So that's right. That's why I wanted to do a video on this, and that's why I'm probably going deeper on this. I'm not just talking about functionality and the practicality of it. Oh, isn't it nice to have a bit more room for stuff? Yes, of course it is. But I have more room here and here, and that's ultimately what I was striving for. So if you watch this video, I hope this is going to encourage you to face up to maybe some of the emotional baggage that is clouding your space and clouding your heart and mind. I hope that if you follow these steps, you will find that when it comes to emotional hoarding, the clearing of this does not have to be dramatic, it doesn't have to be painful, it doesn't have to be hurt or it doesn't have to be a big labour for us. It is possible to not only move through the emotions that can come with emotional hoarding, but also get the space that we so crave and see that our possessions are not our stuff. Our memories and our feelings are really where it's at, and it doesn't matter if you've got that love letter or a ticket stub. Either way, they're still contained within you. And I hope that, you know, if you're going to follow these steps, that you'll see that you're worth making the time and space to do this for. This is a really great act of self-love to show up for yourself in this way. You know, I blocked off a whole bloody weekend when I could have been hanging out with my friends or, you know, doing a new work project or whatever it is, because this was important to me. And I knew that the space I craved, the opportunities I want to invite in were on the other side of that weekend, and I'm already feeling so much better. Another just last tip I would do is, like I say, make time for it, but don't be like, right, in September I'm going to do it. I knew that like from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. on that Saturday, I was going to hit this and hit it really hard. And I knew that I needed to get to a place where I felt much better. And that was a hugely powerful in terms of my energy. I wasn't just going into it kind of standing in my pajamas, kind of dabbling over an old textbook. I really knew I was showered, I was dressed, I had my music on, I burnt a beautiful candle, and I was prepared, and I got on with it. So this might sound like a totally fresh perspective to doing a bit of tidying, and I get that. But if you can relate or you need some advice on how to clear up and make space, please meet me in the comments or join the party over on my Instagram feed where I'm posting on the daily at Lucy Sheridan. As always, please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and share this with anyone that you think might benefit. Let's keep the conversation going.